The Lord sent me to bring glad tidings to the poor, and to proclaim liberty to captives. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus went around to all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, and curing every disease and illness. At the sight of the crowds, his heart was moved with pity for them, because they were troubled and abandoned, like sheep without shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest." Then he summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits, to drive them out and to cure every disease and every illness. The Gospel of the Lord. I will speak a little bit about Saint John Marie Vianney. One of his sayings was, "All our religion," and listen, "all our religion is but a false religion, and all our virtues are mere illusions, as we ourselves are only hypocrites in the sight of God. If we have not that universal charity for everyone, for the good and for the bad, for the poor and for the rich, for all those who do us harm as much as those who do us good." So what he's saying, that we had to be good with everybody. It doesn't matter they do good things or they do bad things. It's only God who judges people. Jean-Baptiste Vianney, a man with vision, overcome obstacles and perform deeds that seem impossible. John Vianney was a man with vision. He wanted to become a priest, but he had to overcome his meager formal schooling, which inadequately prepared him for seminary studies. He was born in France, but in his time, everything was in Latin. He had to speak Latin, and he couldn't. His failure to comprehend Latin lectures forced him to discontinue, but his vision of being a priest pushed him to seek private tutoring. After a lengthy battle with the books, John was ordained. Situation calling for impossible did follow him everywhere. As a pastor of the parish at Ars, John encountered people who were indifferent and quite comfortable with their style of living. Sounds like familiar, not here in St. Clair, but in other parishes, right? His vision led him through severe fasts and short nights of sleep. With other holy women, he established La Providence, a home for girls. Only a man of vision could have such trust that God would provide for the spiritual and material needs of all those who came to make La Providence their home. Remember, in those days, they didn't work, so basically God provided them for this house for girls. His work as a confessor is John Vianney's most remarkable accomplishment. In the winter month, he was to spend from 11 to 14 hours daily reconciling people with God. How beautiful is this? This is the vision of the sacrament of reconciliation, to reconcile us with God. In the summer month, this time was increased to 16 hours. Unless a man was dedicated to his vision of a priestly vocation, he couldn't have endured this giving of self day after day. Many people look forward to retirement and taking easy, doing the things they always wanted to do but never had the time. But John Vianney had no thought of retirement. As his fame spread, more hours were consumed in serving God's people. Even the few hours he would allow himself for sleep were disturbed frequently by the devil. The devil attacked him 24/7. Who but a man with vision could keep going with ever-increasing strength? In 1929, Pope Pius XI named him the patron saint of parish priests. So he is the patron saint of all pastors. The greatest miracles of all that occurs in Ars, the cure of Ars insisted, were the miracles of conversion because of his dedication for the sacrament of reconciliation. But it was not as simple that because he was in confession. It's because he was an example of a holy person. The conversion of someone from a state of mortal sin to grace, he said, is a greater miracle than what the Lord did to raise Lazarus. The body is of very little in comparison, he said, to the sacrament that heals the wounds of our soul. These were the type of miracles for which the patron saints of priests implore God the most. And he was a witness. He was a witness of the miracles of God. What can we learn from the life of Saint John Marie Vianney? The first one is to trust in God's besides of our limitations. He had difficulties to speak Latin, but he had a goal to be a priest. And he faced a lot of limitation. If you have a goal in life, if you establish a goal of life in life, God will walk with you if it's his will. What will be a perfect goal to establish for us as Catholics and Christians? Sanctity, holiness. And this is the second one. Sainthood is for everybody. It's not a label. It's not to have a label. It is not impossible. But it's a decision we make knowing that sanctity will assure the kingdom of heaven. It is the desire that you have, that we have, and I have to include myself. It's the desire that we have for heaven. The desire to be with God, with all saints, with Mary, in the third heaven. You know there are some levels in heaven. En el tercer cielo está Dios. That is the way when we establish our goals. The importance and the necessity to reconcile with God and our brothers and sisters. The biggest sin that we will say, or we can say, is that I don't have sin. And you will hear from many people. It is the desires to reconcile with God and with our brothers and sisters. Reconciliation, the sacrament of reconciliation, will give you this power and strength to fight against the devil. It is, unfortunately, in our times, we don't hear too much about the devil and hell. Let me tell you, nothing has changed. The devil exists. Hell exists. God doesn't want that we will go there. He doesn't want us there in hell. But it's a decision that we make. Obviously, if I ask someone, do you want to go to hell? Everybody will say no. Yes or yes? Of course, no one to be in hell. But it depends how you live your life. It depends your decisions. Because the world will show you different ways, different paths to live. But remember what is the right path. It is Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. Not the Jesus that some people have in their minds, the Jesus of the Scriptures. He has not changed and never will change. What is sin, and what is gift, and what is grace is grace. It doesn't matter the generations. Unfortunately, we live in time that what was wrong before now is good, and what was good now is wrong. This is the world. This is the world. And this is the culture of death. This is the culture of death that will tell you, go with your life whatever you want. Today, my brothers and sisters, there is a good opportunity to ask the Lord to give you wisdom, to lead, to walk, to be led in the way of salvation. You can ask the intercession of St. John Baptist Marie Vianney. He was a humble man. At any moment he wanted to be a saint. He wanted to be a priest. And he was humble man. And let me tell you, there is no planet that had said, planet for saints or planets for priests. No. The saints and the priests are in the pews. And you parents have the responsibility to encourage your children and grandchildren to love God, to form this beautiful image of heaven. If you present heaven as a beautiful place, of course your children will choose this place, because the world is showing them a different world. May the intercession of St. John Vianney, the priest of priests, the patron saints of our priests, and the greatest confessor, intercede for us.